Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of College Hockey Talk. On today's podcast, I'm joined by freshman from the Cornell hockey team, Lily Delianedis. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Lily, and how's everything going?
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me. I've been pretty good just here in Minnesota, like I was saying before this started. And yeah, I've just been hanging out, doing a lot of coaching. And there's another girl here from my team. So we've been spending a lot of time together as well.
Well, that's good to hear. And besides training and hockey, what else have you been up to since graduating high school last year?
Yeah, besides training and hockey, I mean, working now at least, but I mean, it is a little bit hockey related because I'm doing a lot of coaching. So I'm coaching first, second, and third graders at this hockey school called Breakout Academy. And then I'm also a Pee Wee coach now for sixth and seventh grade boys. So I've just been spending a lot of time doing that and spending time with friends and family.
Yeah, that's good to hear. And is it weird coaching, kind of getting a different perspective on the game? Because I know it's a little bit different than playing.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I was a little surprised by that even. I mean, because you notice all the little things when kids are listening, when kids aren't listening. So I think it'll definitely help me too as a player. And I love it though, so it's been good.
Is coaching something you want to do after your hockey career is done?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I think I don't know. I think that I'll definitely want to be in the hockey community still after I graduate. So I'm not really sure even what I want to do with my career after. Like with school, I don't really have a major picked out yet. So I guess we'll find out in the future.
Yeah, and patience is the one thing I've noticed talking to coaches because you have to kind of be patient with especially younger kids because they're still trying to learn the game and develop. How have you tried to, I guess, learn patience throughout your coaching abilities?
Yeah, patience, I would say that's definitely a huge part of it. And that's been one of the things that was a little bit more difficult for me too, because, these kids are so young, they don't know exactly how to even pass the puck. And you just got to, yeah, be patient, just wait it out, try to explain it to them um, in a positive way, and just try to critique them without really like getting mad that maybe that they're messing around or anything like that.
So, are you only coaching boys hockey, or are you also coaching girls hockey as well?
There are a few girls at the Breakaway Hockey School. I'd say there's about 10. So it's a mix. I would say mostly boys, but there's definitely a few girls as well. But it's been great kind of having both sides too.
Is there a difference between coaching boys versus girls, or is it kind of similar?
I would say at the young age it's pretty similar. I haven't really coached any older girls. Like my PB team is sixth and seventh grade boys. I would think there would be a little bit of a difference there, but I'm not really sure. But I would say at least for the younger kids, it's pretty similar.
Now, I want to start off this podcast talking about when the Ivy League canceled their season. That happened a couple of months ago. Where were you when you found out that news, and what was your reaction to that?
Yeah, I was with most of my freshman class actually. We there was a Zoom. That's how we heard the news. And we kind of knew some information, but we weren't exactly sure if it was going to be canceled or not. But we did kind of maybe assume that. But it was definitely still really tough to hear. Um, but at least I mean we were all together, so that was nice, and we had a team Zoom right after, so it was nice just being able to be with teammates during that hard time.
Yeah, and I was talking to one of your teammates, Elena Zingas, on the podcast a few months ago, and she was telling me how you guys were like one of the few Ivy League schools that were practicing in the fall. How cool was that getting to practice with most of your teammates, and what'd you do during that time period?
Yeah, that was super great. I love practice. I mean, we had small pods. I think it was pods of 10 or less. And obviously mask and social distance, but I mean, it was still great just being able to get on the ice, be and meet with my teammates. And we were still able to have a lot of fun and do hard drills, but I really enjoyed it. So that was great.
Now, I know you haven't played a college hockey game yet, but what is the biggest adjustment you had to make so far practicing with college hockey players?
Yeah, I would say quicker pace, and I don't know. In high school, I used to stick handle a lot, but I mean these are really good players, so you're not going to be able to, make a quick dangle around someone. So trying to eliminate maybe some of the extra moves that I would do in high school.
Now, how are you going about preparing for next season, knowing you have almost a year and a half to prepare?
Yeah, I would say just continuing to stay mentally strong and working hard because obviously it's a little ways away, but I'm really looking forward to it. Like I'm super excited. So every time I try to practice, I just try to stay in the present and just go my hardest when I'm doing drills or we have a little 3-on-3 group down here. So I mean, just continuing to work hard and focus on the little things.
Now, what does your training look like, and what challenges have you faced training with? Because I know where I'm from, ice time is very limited and gyms are closed as well. So, how have you tried to handle some of those challenges, and how have you tried to train so far?
Yeah, so Minnesota, our rules, I would say, aren't super strict. I mean, I think for college athletes, they actually allow us not to wear masks on the ice, but it depends on the rink. Um, but I'd say the most difficult thing is probably just finding ice because most of the high school kids and older kids take the ice like after the school day. So all the ice that's available is like during the day, but a lot of the girls work during the day, or like myself. But I have been able to find some ice, so try to do like work with a skating coach Tuesday mornings. We have a 3-on-3 group kind of with some of the Ivy League girls who are home. Um, and then, yeah, just trying to do like some extra ice on the side and playing in a men's league too on Sundays. But that's been exciting too. But yeah, just trying to find ice where you can get it.
Yeah, and I don't know about Minnesota, but how are the ponds looking like so far? And having gotten a chance to do some pond hockey?
Yeah, I love pond hockey. It's one of my favorite things. I mean, it's been pretty warm here right now, but it was super good like just about a week or so ago. And I try to get out there on the ponds. I mean, it's sometimes it's like negative degrees, but I don't care. I'll just bundle up and try to go skate out there. But sometimes they're really busy because everyone loves it. So
Yeah, I know we only have like one pond around here, so like you can get pretty crowded, especially when it gets really cold. But it's been tough this year because like in the mornings it's really cold, but then as the day goes on, the ice starts to melt and it just becomes unsafe to go on it. So
yeah,
that's kind of the challenge I've been trying to face doing pond hockey. But whenever you get the chance, it's super fun.
yeah, exactly.
Now, speaking of your on ice training, what does that look like so far, and what are you trying to work on? Your speed, your skating, your stick handling? Like, what's the main focus right now?
Yeah, I'd say I have been trying to work on my stride just because I do a lot of crossovers, so I'm trying to lengthen it a little bit when I'm just straight skating. And then something that I've always just worked on is shooting pucks because it's so easy to do, and I love doing it. So just shooting as well, I'd say. But skating is something definitely that I need to work on and have been trying to practice while I've been here.
Yeah, and what is something you think you need to improve on the most to your game, and how have you tried to improve that area of your game during the time where you have with no season and the summer, obviously?
Uh, yeah, I would just echo kind of what I was saying before, just like my stride. And I've been training with a guy here who's been giving me helpful tips on just kind of the mechanics of it all because I don't really know exactly how it works with the glide and everything, and he really knows how it works. And in the summers, I spend my summers in Massachusetts actually too, and there's a really good skating coach out there who I love, and we will just skate for like 1 hour without pucks, and I find that helpful.
Where about in Massachusetts? Because that's where I'm at usually.
Yeah, I've in West Falmouth and the
Oh,
Cape. I've
nice.
got a family out there, so we just spend our summers there. And there's surprisingly there's a skating coach down there, so It's been great
Yeah,
to have
no, I love the Cape. I usually spend some time down there as well. There's a rink, I think, in Dennis that I've been to a few times. I think that's really nice.
Yeah, I think I've been there actually. It is really nice.
Yeah, it's near a movie theater, if I'm not mistaken, but
Yeah.
it's a nice rink. But I really like it just because I think there's a few youth hockey teams that play down here, like the Cape Cod Whalers, and that's
Yeah.
like where a lot of college hockey players go to develop. So there's actually some good hockey down here, which people don't realize.
Yeah, for sure. There definitely is.
Now, have you been watching any college hockeys so far this year, even though you're not playing?
Yeah, I have. Sometimes it's obviously hard to like because I want to be playing, but I do have some like friends on teams, so I'll watch a few of their games or like I'm from Minnesota, so I'll watch like if Wisconsin plays Minnesota, that's a big game, or I mean Colgate and Clarkson too. Those are fun to watch as well.
Yeah, well, who do you think's going to win the Frozen Four this year, and what's your thoughts on this season? Since it's been so strange with how many schedule changes have been happening.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, from what I've seen, Wisconsin looks like they're really fast out there. In that they make a lot of quick plays. So I mean, if I had to pick, maybe them. I mean, that's also because I've seen more of their games, but I don't know. I think it'll be a good battle between whoever's in it.
Yeah, no, I think Wisconsin has definitely been the most consistent team throughout this season. I think Penn State has looked good as well too. I think that's a team that people aren't looking at. They're like 15-1 this year. I'm interested to see how they do against some other conferences. And I think another team that people aren't giving enough credit is Northeastern. I've been watching them play, and they're really
Oh
solid.
yeah, I forgot about Northeastern, but I'd say they're actually a great pick too.
So, when you're watching college hockey, have you tried to pick up on any details from the game and try to add it to your game because you're obviously going to be there next year?
Yeah, I mean, I just try to focus on, I'm a smaller player, so watching teams and watching girls who I know that are smaller players and how they match up against some of these bigger teams. Because there's some really big teams, and I just try to watch kind of how the smaller type players try to get around defensemen. But I think it seems to work when they're moving their feet and not stick handling too much and just making quick plays.
Yeah, one thing I noticed between high school hockey and college hockey is how good the goalies are and just the difference. Have you tried to notice like any tendencies goalies have and figuring out ways to beat them? Because that's another adjustment a lot of players have to make coming into college hockey.
Yeah, for sure. I played in Beantown this past summer, and there was actually some college goalies there, and that's when I noticed, I'm like, all right, I got to shoot a little harder and have to make the goalie move. And my dad is actually he was a goalie at Colgate, and he still plays, so he'll actually strap on his pads for me sometimes. So, I like shooting on him, and he'll have helpful like insights on what tendencies the goalies have, or if you're coming out of the corner, the goalies are probably gonna stay tight to the short side. So yeah, I definitely think about those things a lot.
Now, thinking about next year, what are your goals and expectations for your team?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I have high goals for our team because I think we have great players and great people, and we're led by good coaches as well. So, I mean, I think that's a great foundation right there. So, I mean, why not trying to get to the playoffs and winning national championship? I mean, I feel like that's always the goals. But I would say too, just we haven't played a game in a year, so just trying to get back into game shape and focusing on the little things.
Yeah, how are you going to try to wear off some of that rust when you come back? And is there a secret to it, or do you just have to go out there and see what happens?
I think just trying to focus on not that you haven't played a game in a year, but just focus on like how much you've been practicing and how much you've been on the ice. Like for me, it doesn't feel like it's been a year because I don't know, it just doesn't feel like it's been that long. So just trying to focus on, you maybe playing some 3-on-3, some 4-on-4, and just getting slowly back into things.
Now, one thing that people don't realize with your team is you're going to have like two new freshman classes because you have your freshman class and then you have next year's freshman class. How are you going to try to make up that experience gap in your team?
I think we have really good upperclassmen, and they were great this last semester. So I think they'll be able to help us out, and hopefully we'll. I mean, my freshman class hopefully will be able to help. I guess the incoming freshmen too, even though we haven't played. But I think the leadership and the older players and the coaches will be able to help us figure out starting college hockey. So.
Yeah, talk about your freshman class and how have you guys tried to get to know each other during this unusual time period?
Yeah, I love my freshman class. We definitely spent a ton of time together just because none of us had a car. So we were a little bit further away from everyone. Like it's hard to get places, but we had a group chat. We would, at the beginning, we would try to like go to the field and run or like play spike ball. And then one of the girls at the end of the semester she brought her van and we would sometimes just drive around and go get ice cream or something. So it's been great getting to know those girls.
Yeah, how's Cornell and just Ithaca in general, and what's your thoughts on the campus? I know you've probably visited and love it, but what's it like being a student there for the first semester?
Yeah, I loved it so much. The campus is so beautiful. Um, I mean, like it's like we will always just walk around campus. Like I said, because we didn't have a car, and we just like, wow, this place is so cool. So it's really fun being a student there.
Now, obviously, you've been doing online classes or hybrid classes. What has that been like, and has that been an adjustment for yourself? Because I know for myself, being a college student, there is some advantages to it. You can just get out of bed and go to online class, but I know you don't get the full, like, I guess, classroom experience when you're online. So, is that something you've noticed as well?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely been a transition. And at the end of my high school, like we were online for a little bit, so I was lucky enough to get I guess a little bit of a taste of how it would be like. But I would say it's definitely a little bit more difficult to stay engaged compared to the in-person class. And I did have one in-person discussion, so that was nice. But I would say it's definitely, like you said, some ways it's more difficult, some ways it's a little bit easier too.
Yeah, especially at Cornell because you guys have like probably the top professors in like each subject. How do you try to get the most out of a class when you're not in person?
Yeah, I'd say, I mean, just talking or emailing the professor or TA. One of my classes was really small and there was 8 people, and that one was like synchronous. Obviously, like we didn't have to like watch a lecture or anything. Like we were live, and I think that was great because it kind of felt more like an in-person class, and I definitely got to know my professor better. So just talking to professors or TAs at the classes.
That's awesome. The one thing I don't like about online classes, and I don't know if you've experienced this before, is Zoom breakout rooms. They are the absolute worst because you go in there, like first day of class this semester, we had a Zoom breakout room, and I was like, what's this thing? So I click on it, and literally no one is talking. It's the most like boring thing ever. And like no one knows each other. It's the most awkward thing ever. How have you tried to deal with Zoom breakout rooms? Because I hate it and I have to talk to another college student about it because it's the worst.
Yeah, no, Zoom breakout rooms, it's funny because you'll look on like how many participants there are and you'll see the number just like skyrocket down when the professor says breakout rooms. Um, but I wasn't in any like large classes like that had breakout rooms. Like I know a lot of the girls on my team were in calculus, and when those breakout rooms happen, like I know like no one spoke for those. But I think one way, like our professors in the classes I was in, they would like give us an agenda to do in the breakout room, and like they would call on people, when you get back from the breakout rooms. So I think people felt obligated, at least in the classes I was in, to speak, which was nice because I would honestly hate it if no one was speaking because yeah, I hate the black screens. It would be tough. But yeah, at least giving us an agenda, that was helpful to get kids to talk. So It's
Yeah,
definitely
well, I had a class where like this teacher made like a Google Docs that everyone had to like put like their thoughts on like the question we were supposed to talk about in our group out rooms, and then we could leave class, or we were supposed to talk about it then leave class, and then so like everyone put their answers in, and then everyone just dipped out. It was like no one talked at all.
yeah, that happened a lot too.
So, yeah, now I want to talk about the beginning of your hockey career. Let's go away from Cornell and just talk about how you got started and your journey to college hockey. So you're from Edina, Minnesota. What's it like growing up there? How did you start playing hockey? Because every time I think of Minnesota hockey, Edina always comes up just because it feels like every D1 player from Minnesota is from that town.
Yeah, it's definitely a huge hockey town. Um, and it has a lot of success too. And we definitely get a lot of hate for that. And I did end up going to Blake for high school, so I ended up hating Edina too because they were our rivals. But yeah, I mean, I think the youth hockey is great there. Or here, I guess that's where I am right now. But yeah, I just started. My dad was a coach, and I grew up kind of always going to games, being around the rink, like looking up to the players he was coaching. And then, yeah, I just started playing mites, and then I actually played with the boys too again, and did squirts, peewees, and then I decided to go to Blake. But I guess, yeah, my youth hockey experience was great, and I loved playing Edina hockey when I was younger. So
Who was your favorite player growing up?
I'd say Jonathan Tays. I loved watching him play because I don't know. He was a great leader, and I think they had a few Stanley Cups when I was younger too. And I liked watching him play as well when he was in his prime.
I know I'm a big Jonathan Tays fan myself. I'm more of a Patty King guy though, just because he's American and I have more bias
Yeah.
towards that. But he did kill the Bruins one Stanley Cup final, which I don't like to talk about, but that's why I remember Jonathan Tays the most because he was a beast in that series.
Yeah, he definitely was.
Now, your dad played college hockey as well. What was it like having a hockey influence growing up, and how did that help your hockey development?
Yeah, I'm super grateful for that. I mean, I love talking about hockey, and so does he. So, I mean, most of our conversations are about hockey. I don't know. Growing up, like we'd always play knee hockey in the basement, or like street hockey outside in our backyard. And um, like I said, he was a goalie, so it's been helpful for me as a forward, just learning how to score. So it was really great, and I'm definitely glad I had that influence.
Does he ever reminisce about his college hockey days to you at all?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like him and all his buddies. They're always he went to Colgate. They're like trying to get me to Colgate. And I'm like, no. uh, but yeah, he always talks about his days there. He loved it. So I mean, it's great hearing his stories.
That's good to hear. Yeah. No, it's awesome hearing players who played like in like the 80s or 90s about their college hockey or just hockey in general because it's so much different than today. Just some of the stories, the locker room stories, and just like some of those chirps that they had back in the day was so much different than it is right now.
Oh, I know. Like, he'll always tell me about like the fights and the brawls that they got on. Jeez.
Have you ever gone on YouTube and like looked up like old hockey fights, especially between goalies? Because I remember like there was the rivalry between the Red Wings and Avalanche back in like the late '90s, and there was like this goalie fight, and it was just insane, like how they just would not stop. I'm like, this would never happen today.
I know it's crazy how much it's changed. I've seen a few of those, but when I was younger, and then yeah, now I guess you just don't really see them as much.
No, but there's this guy in the Bruins named Trent Frederick, and he's really bringing it back. He's a huge fighter, so
Yeah,
hopefully it
I've
comes
heard of
back a
it.
little bit. No, yeah, no, he's awesome. He like beat up Tom Wilson, and it was like,
Yeah.
let's go. I was so pumped.
So funny.
So no, before Cornell, you played for the Blake School, like you just said. How did you get the opportunity to play with that school? Because I know you're from Edina, and I know Edina High School is kind of like the big school there.
Hmm. Yeah, my sister went to Breck, which is also like a rival of Blake, and my dad coached at Breck. So my family was kind of always leaning towards like that private school kind of education because we have always really valued education as well. And Blake had a ton of hockey success, so I was like, I kind of want to try the school out. I met the coach, and Ended up getting on a tour there around the rink, and I really liked it. So I decided to go there 8th grade, and I never regretted my decision. So
Yeah, what was
great.
your experience like there? And looking back at your high school hockey experience, what did you take away from it?
I loved high school hockey. I mean, it's so cool. Especially at Blake too. I mean, we were able to have a lot of success in the first, well, actually every year that we were there. But the first 2 years we won the state championship, and that experience was great. And I mean, the girls in the team too. Like, I just love looking back at all of like the memories we had. Like, we had a ton of pasta dinners, and just we had so much fun together. And that's really what I think of when I think of Blake hockey, and I think that adds to the success of it as well.
Yeah, and how did playing for Blake School help prepare you for college hockey?
Yeah, I think we get a lot of girls out of Blake that play college hockey, so that's been great to be around Division One athletes kind of throughout my high school career, and we've had some really great players like Carly Bullock. Um, she went to Princeton, and she was there when I was in 8th grade. So I mean, she was someone who I kind of looked up to. And Izzy, she and I played together like throughout all of high school, and she's at Cornell too. So it's been kind of nice being with yeah, players going to play in D1, and especially Ivy Leagues too. It's been nice.
Yeah, I know the Wethington sisters played at Blake School, if I'm correct on that, right?
Yes, they did.
What was it like to play with them? Because I know Maddie won the Miss Hockey Award back in 2019.
Yeah, I mean, I would say we are very competitive on the ice, especially like Madeline and I. I remember we play like Wednesday tourney, and sometimes you get into little fights, but it was only because we both wanted to win so bad, and we'd always get over it, you know, in the locker room. So I did. I mean, I love when that stuff would happen. Like, it would get a little heated, but like we both love it, and we both know that we're just trying to get our 3-on-3 team to win. So that was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and you were named team captain your senior year. What did that mean to you, and what type of leadership did you want to bring in? Were you more of a vocal or lead by example type of player?
Yeah, that meant a lot to me, just because I really looked up to the captains in the past that I had. So I thought it was really special, and I tried to take things that I had learned from the leaders who I loved, and try to incorporate some of their things, but also I just try to be myself as well. And I'd say I'm more of a lead by example player. I just love just kind of working hard on the ice, and I'll be vocal too, but I wouldn't say I'm like crazy loud or anything like that. So I'd say just um, more lead by example.
Yeah, and also during your senior year, you were named semifinalist for the Minnesota Miss Hockey Award. What is that award for people who don't know what it is, and what did that honor mean to you?
Yeah, that was really special as well. I mean, Miss Hockey, I think it represents, I believe, the best player in Minnesota, but also like a well-rounded player. They talk about, you know, what we've done outside hockey as well. And there's been a lot of Blake girls who've won it or have also been semifinalists. So I was just lucky enough to be selected among those great players.
Now, I'm not from Minnesota, so what's the Minnesota high school hockey scene like, and what's it like being a player in that atmosphere? Because being from New England, I watch the YouTube clips. I'm like, I don't get it at all. Like, why are people so like obsessed with high school hockey there?
Yeah, it's crazy how much people are obsessed with it. But it's so cool too. I mean, like at our games, you know, even on a Thursday night, we'd sometimes get fans like the boys hockey team would come watch, or and like there's a lot of publicity around it. Even, I mean, a ton with the boys, but a lot with the girls too. And like the state tournament is just huge. Like the boys like sell it out. It's one of the, I love going to that tournament and playing in it too. And I mean, the girls get a lot of fans as well. So it's crazy how much people follow it around here, but it's super cool.
Is it weird talking to people from the East Coast about that high school hockey scene? Because, like I said, I don't get it. I'm assuming most people who are from New England don't get it as well. Is it weird talking to people like myself about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because like it's so different, but like I love talking about it because it's so fun to like see the passion that people have around here. But yeah, it's definitely weird because it's so different compared to like the New England scene or even like AAA hockey.
Yeah, no, most people go to like prep school or they go to like junior in like the USHL or North American Hockey League. So I always find it cool that you get to like go to your own hometown high school and like have success and then get noticed for D1 as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's super nice. Just it's nice to stay around here and be able to play where I live. So
Now you played at the XL Center, right? What was that like
yes,
being in that state tournament final?
yeah, that was so cool. I think like I mean 4 years ago today or like 5 years ago today, like we were winning the state championship. So I was actually just looking at some old photos of that. It was just such a cool experience. Like we're so lucky to have got there. I mean, just like playing under the lights and being in that atmosphere was amazing. So
Now I have to ask you about this because I was doing research on like the Minnesota high school hockey scene, and there was this video that popped up that you were in. It was called like Zamboni
oh
Karaoke.
yeah.
Do you want what's that video like, and do you still watch it today? Because I was watching it, and I was like, I don't think I could do that. Just have that on YouTube. Like I would get very made fun of by my friends.
Yeah, do I still watch it? Definitely not because it's a little cringy. Especially like the two girls I was with, Addie and Madeline, like they're both in choir, and I'm just not a singer at all. So I was like, oh my gosh, like of course I'm with the two singers. But yeah, that's just something that also showcases like how much people like really hype up Minnesota hockey. Like they would just have, three girls on a team come out or three guys too, and people watch those videos and like are interested in them. So, but yeah, no, it's definitely a little cringy when I think back about it, but it's funny too. So
Well, that's good though. Like I said, I couldn't do that. I would be too scared to go up and have that on YouTube. But so props to you on that. How did you get asked to do it? Like, what's the process?
yeah, I think just one of the guys who ran it reached out to some of the girls on our team. Um, it wasn't anything big like that, and I think he knew. I think he knew one of the girls who he asked, and yeah, we just got a small group together and just went up there.
Did they play that like during the game at the XL, or was that like just like a whole internet thing?
I think it was more of an internet thing, but they might have played like little clips at the XL, and then like put the link up, but I'm not sure.
Now, I want to talk about some of the teammates you got to play with. You got to play with Addie Burton, like you just said. What was it like to be her teammate, and what was she like both on and off the ice as well?
Yeah, she's like my best friend. So, I mean, definitely loved being around her, seeing her tonight too. So, yeah, I mean, I've been fortunate enough to make some lifelong friends. And yeah, we played together for obviously 5 years, and we're usually on the same like elite league teams or summer teams together. Um, so yeah, definitely love her. But yeah, it was great.
What's it going to be like if Cornell plays Minnesota in like the regular season sometime in the next 4 years?
Oh, I can't wait for that game. I would love that so much, and I think it'll be a battle. So hopefully that happens.
Yeah, and I follow the Gophers Instagram, like on our college hockey talk thing. And one cool fact about me and Addie Burton is we were born on the same exact day. I found that
Really?
out. Yeah, no, I thought that was an interesting fact. So if she's listening, that's just I thought it was
Yeah,
cool.
I'll let
It's
her
like
know. I'll let her know later.
I just thought it was interesting because like usually you share birthdays, but it's not like the same exact day. Like
Yeah,
November 30th, 2001, and like I saw like because they wish people happy birthday, and I saw it, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like I never. It was just really interesting to me. That's
yeah,
all.
that's too funny.
Now you also got to play with Audrey Weathington as well. What was it like to be her teammate, and what was she like both on and off the ice as well?
Yeah, she works really hard. She's also lives like a street away from me, so I mean, I kind of knew her when I was younger as well. And yeah, we got to be line mates for our senior year, and just knowing her from a young age, like it made things a little bit easier just on the ice, and yeah, she works really hard, so that was great too.
So, what was your recruitment process like, and why did you choose to go to Cornell? And I know it's a little bit different going to an Ivy League school versus like another school, just because there's not like a letter of intention. So, what was your recruitment process like, and what made you want to go to Cornell at the end of the day?
Yeah, I would say Cornell was the first school I visited. I was this summer going into my freshman year of high school, so I was pretty young when I visited, and I loved it, and it always stuck. It was always kind of in the back of my head, like even when I was visiting other schools. But I decided to give myself just some time to um, process things, and I ended up visiting again the next year. Still loved it, and yeah, I decided to go there. And one of the big factors was definitely the coaches, just because they're so I'd say caring and like passionate. They know a lot about the game, and I could kind of see that just on my phone calls. And even now that I'm here, I can see it so much more too. So they were definitely a big part of my decision, and obviously the history of Cornell too. They've had a lot of success, so I just thought it was the right fit for me.
Yeah, what's it like to play under Coach Duro? I know you haven't played under him, but you've practiced with him, and you've obviously talked to him during the recruitment process. What's he like, and what have you learned under him so far during practice for the month you were there?
Yeah, I love playing. I mean, I haven't played in a game under him, but I love the practices that he has set up. And he actually, I learned that I think he had like the most goals scored ever for Cornell men's hockey in the senior year. So it's definitely a goal scorer. And I learned that pretty quickly because we would have these optional skates, and like me and one other girl would go out with him. And at the end of the skates, we would like play pig or shoot for the corners, and he was just absolutely lighting it up. And I think my record's maybe 1-6. I know he doesn't know I'm keeping a record, but I'm gonna be practicing, and maybe I'll get to beat him some more. But yeah, he's a really good coach. I've really enjoyed the practices so far. So yeah, it's been great.
Now, throughout this podcast, you're talking about how you played 3-on-3 tourneys, but 3-on-3 overtime has been introduced to college hockey this year. What do you think that's going to be like for yourself, going against those top caliber players and having more space on the ice to create plays and score goals since you're a goal scorer yourself?
Yeah, I think I love 3-on-3, and I think that's great for overtime. I mean, I love watching it with the NHL, and I think it works great. I mean, somebody usually ends up scoring, and I think that's good because I don't know. I don't think ending in a shootout is the proper way to end a game, just because it's more based on who has the better shootout moves, who has the better goalie, less of a team game. So I like that. I like that addition. I think it'll be really fun to watch too.
I'm not the biggest fan of a shootout, but I'd much rather see a shootout than a tie because ties absolutely suck. They're the worst.
Yeah.
It's the worst going to a game, and you're so on the edge of your seat and you don't know who wins. It's the worst. I hate ties, so I'm assuming as a player you hate them too.
Yes, I would definitely agree. I would rather have a shootout than a tie, but definitely overtime first, and then
Oh yeah,
shootout
definitely.
to be a tie.
I think it's also smart too because this past summer the Lightning and Blue Jackets played like a 5 overtime game, and I
Yeah.
think that's a little too much as well. So I think there needs to be kind of like a balance of how to end the game, but like not go like ridiculously far into the night where like the product isn't as good as it used to be.
Yeah, I know that was a crazy game. So, well, yeah, we'll see. Maybe they'll change the rules, but I don't know yet.
So what's your what have you been practicing any shootout moves? Are you like Pavel Datsuk? Just do the one stick behind, or any practicing at all for that?
Yeah. I don't want to give it all away, but I definitely like the moves of some of the Russians. I just like to watch a lot of videos, like Pavel Bure, actually, Kucherov, I really like, and Datsuk. So I love watching their moves and definitely try them out when I can. I mean, I know maybe on a breakaway I'm not going to do it, but I think it's fun just trying to be creative. So
Yeah, don't give out your plans, but at least tease it a little bit and make all the goalies listening a little nervous because when
yeah,
Cornell comes in
exactly.
next year and you're on the line, just like, oh no, and then you do like some like behind the legs, and then I think it was Zetterberg. I don't think it was Datsu, but it was like the one where he like moved the goalie one direction and then he like put the puck back and like used one hand to
Yeah,
tap it in.
I know it's crazy how many things that players can do now these days.
The best shootout move I saw was some guy, he like skated up and he went to the blue line and he just slap shotted it and it like went in the net. It was like the most cool, it was like super cool shootout move, but it was like the most like baller thing ever.
Yeah, that's so funny. That's a power move. I love it.
No, there was this guy though at UConn last year. His name was Ruslan Asakov, and he had probably the best hands I've ever seen in college hockey. So that's
Really.
someone you can look up to. He had a lot of good shootout moves.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up for sure.
Now, for the Cornell fans listening to this podcast that have never seen you play before, describe your game to them. What do you like as a player, and what do you hope to bring to the program in the next 4 years?
Yeah, I think I'm very quick. I try to do everything as fast as possible. Like I try to move my feet as fast as possible, and my hands for sure. And I try to with my shot too, just quick shot. And I love putting the puck in the back of the net. So I hope that can figure out a way to score on these good goalies in college hockey. So yeah, I'd say those are some of the things I hope to do, but it's going to be harder in a more tough environment. But that's what I would say are my strengths.
Now, I have to ask you this question. I know every player gets an extra year of eligibility. What's that looking like for the Ivy League schools since you aren't playing this year?
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit more difficult. But if you're a younger player like me, like a freshman and some of the sophomores or sophomore, like some of us decided to take a leave of absence, and that like kind of allows us a little bit more eligibility. So, and then actually the Ivy League did make a new rule, I believe, where seniors can now play as a grad student. So I'm not really sure if that'll affect our team, but I think that's a helpful move by them.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see not just for the Ivy League, but for other schools as well, like which seniors choose to stay and which seniors choose to go, because that's going to affect like which players come in for college hockey. So from a media aspect, I'm interested in that as well.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting. I'm sure it'll be a lot of excitement seeing who goes where for everyone watching. So
Especially for the women's teams, because I think for the men's teams, a lot of those guys will just go on to the pros and it'll just be easier. But for the women's, it's like there's the PWHPA and there's the NWHL, but like a lot of times after that, you're kind of done with college or you're done with hockey after you finish college. So that's something to consider as well for women's hockey.
yeah, exactly. So it's yeah, it'll be exciting.
Now, we're now in the non-hockey segment of the podcast where I ask you some non-hockey questions. My first question to you is, what's your favorite class at school?
I'd say my world politics class. It was probably my hardest class, but it was also like pretty interesting. So I'd say that was my favorite class at school so far.
What music do you like to listen to, and what's your go-to song before a game?
Oh, I love listening to music. I listen to anything. I mean, I'm probably more of like a pop, but sometimes I like just other like random music. And I'm pretty superstitious, so I have a few songs I listen to before every game. But if I had to pick one of them, I'd say like "Secrets" by Tiesto.
Oh, that's a banger.
Yeah, it's a good one.
If you could have lunch with anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
Um, I would say I don't know. I mean, this is probably a lame answer. This is a hockey answer. Maybe like Jonathan Tays. I always looked up to him when I was younger. Or I watched The Last Dance, the Netflix show. So I think it'd be cool to meet Michael Jordan as well.
Yeah, just hearing his mentality on like different things, because I think his mentality separated him from the rest of the NBA players at the time, and that's what made him great. So it was really cool to hear his perspective on that.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I love to go lunch with them. So
My favorite part of that documentary was Dennis Rodman. I don't know if you remember that, the story
yeah,
with Carmen Electra and how Michael Jordan had to like fly to Vegas and pull him out of a hotel room just to go to a playoff game. Like that was
I
insane.
know that's crazy. You think you'd want to be playing in the playoffs, but I guess he had other things that he was want to be doing.
No, but he still had a good game too, which was
Oh
funny.
yeah,
I just thought it was funny. It was like he went to the coach and he's like, "I need a vacation in the middle of the playoffs," and I was like, "What?"
and he still did well, I guess.
Just imagine one of your teammates just going up to your coaches in like the middle of the playoffs. Is like, I think I need a vacation for a little bit. You'll
Yeah,
be
I'm
like,
not sure
what?
if that would go well.
Oh no, that would not go well. That's what makes it funny though. But like Rodman's such a character where like it like makes sense.
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
Now, speaking of your teammates, who is the funniest on the team?
Um, I would say Paige Kenyon, or actually Devin Fascinato Senior. I would say they're pretty funny.
Now we had Ashley Messier on the podcast. We recorded the interview yesterday, and she said
Yeah.
that you were the funniest on the team. What's your reaction on that?
That's funny. I was maybe gonna say her too, but she's also just like just like a great person in general. So that's funny. I mean, I try to joke around a little bit. So I guess I'm not super surprised. But yeah, that's funny. I love Ashley.
Any jokes you want to tell on the pod? Like anything funny? Like I don't know.
I don't know, like I don't have any like jokes that I tell. I just kind of say random things, and people find it funny occasionally. It just happens in the moment.
Yeah, I
Maybe some
understand.
bad chirps every now and then on the ice.
What's the best trip you ever gave someone?
Um, I would say I don't know. I mean, maybe something about their style on the ice. I'm actually really bad at chirping, but sometimes I like to do it just to rile people up. But I don't know. I need to work on my game.
Definitely, but speaking of style, who has the best style on the team? I'm gonna go with yourself, but is there anyone else
Oh,
that can
thank you.
top the cake?
Yeah, I would say I really like one of the freshmen, KJ, Caitlin Jackenstein. She's always rocking some Air Jordans. She's got good style for sure.
That's awesome. Now, what is something you hope to do once the pandemic ends that you haven't been able to do since it started? Since it's almost been a year, which is crazy to think about.
Um, I would say probably. I mean, this might be hockey related again, but playing a hockey game. Haven't played one since well, I mean, I played in Beantown, but I haven't played in one where I've like really had to get to the rink early and done all those fun pregame activities. So I'd say I'm just really ready to play in a game.
Yeah, I'm really excited to go to a game as well. I checked my phone memories and like it's been 1 year since I went to my last hockey game, so I really miss it and just the whole college hockey scene. Like hopefully next year's Frozen Four there will be fans and I'll be able to go and watch. So that's kind of what I miss the most.
Yeah, I'd agree. Just the whole hockey experience. So for
Definitely,
sure.
definitely. Now, last non-hockey question: if there were to make a movie about your life, who would you want to play yourself?
Hmm, that's a tough one. Um, I'm trying to think. I would say like maybe someone who is like kind of funny, a little ditzy, maybe, and an athlete would make the most sense. I would say. Actually, I really like what's her name? She stars in I can't think of her name, but there's a few actresses like on SNL who I think are really funny. Maybe they would play me.
That'd be cool if Pete Davidson played me in a movie, even though we
Yeah,
look nothing alike. I think that would be very accurate.
yeah, he's funny guy. Love Pete. That's a
Now
good point.
back to now back to some hockey questions. Now my first one is, what advice would you give a younger player trying to make it to D1 hockey?
I would say for sure, don't let anyone else tell you um, like what kind of player you are. Especially like if you get knocked down, cut from a team, maybe someone tells you you're not good enough, just don't listen. Um, just keep working hard and it'll all work out if you just give it your best and practice every day.
Now, what should be done to help grow women's hockey, in your opinion, since you've been playing girls hockey for your whole life?
Yeah, I'd say I mean, I would say something that would help, I think, is just getting coaches into the game for sure, because I think boys, there's so many coaches who want to be around the game and who know a lot about the game, and I think girls hockey, there can be less, just like when you're younger. And I think if you can get really good coaches at a young age and throughout youth hockey, I think that'll really help players grow, get better, and understand how to play hockey.
Now, do you have any shout outs you'd like to give to your teammates, friends, family members?
Um, well, I'll shout out Ashley. I was thinking about her the other day because I was skating by myself, and usually we would skate together at some of these optional skates, and she would take slap shots from the point, and I'd try to tip them in because she's a D, I'm a forward. So yeah, I'll shout out Ash.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, Lily. I really appreciate it so much. I know a lot of Cornell fans that are listening should be very excited when you start playing soon, and I can't wait to watch you play as well. I'll love to have you back on the podcast, and thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's nice meeting you.
Before we let you